Show me.
Yeah, first one.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Public Safety Committee of August 31st, 2016 to order, and can I have a roll call, please? Commissioner Schreiber. Here.
Here.
Bowman.
Here.
Here. Here.
Thank you. And can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 6, 2016 Public Safety Committee meeting?
Second.
Thank you. Any changes, additions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we're going to change the order up a little bit here tonight and have a presentation. And I'm going to call on Commissioner Myers to introduce our speaker, Cindy Santee.
Thank you. It's really my pleasure to introduce Cindy Santee, who is a physical education teacher at Willow Hill. I'm sure many of you know her. She's been a real community leader and an amazing volunteer. And if anyone has community spirit, it's Cindy. And Cindy's here to talk about a real wonderful partnership between the school district, specifically Willow Hill, and the Abington Police Department. With that, Cindy?
Thank you. I was going back and forth. Should I wing it or should I use my notes? So I'm comfortable teaching in the classroom, but I may be a little bit nervous now, so I apologize. Good evening, commissioners and township employees, and I want to thank you for allowing me to come here tonight to tell you about the event that we had at Willow Hill Elementary School. It was the Willow Hill Bike Rodeo, and I got the idea for this event when I was driving to and from school. I'd see a lot of our students on the playground, in the neighborhood, riding around without helmets. So that really concerned me. So I wanted to do an event where all the students would learn about bike safety. Not only helmets, but other ways to be safe on their bike. So I got the approval from our principal, Mr. Damon Jordan, and then I proceeded from there. I had lots of big ideas, which I always do. I always start big. Instead of starting small, I start huge and see if we can make it work. So I contacted Officer Al Freed, and after meeting with him, he assured me that we would be able to make it work. I still wasn't 100% sure, but he guaranteed that we'd be able to make it work, and I put my trust in him. I went to the CAP meeting, and I applied for a $500 CAP grant, and I was awarded that CAP grant, and I'm very appreciative for that. That was a big help. So this is how it went. We had our event on June 10th. It was after school. It was designed to be an event to include parents. We wanted the parents to be involved as well. So when everyone started arriving back at school, there was a place set up for them to register their bicycles in case it was ever lost or stolen. The police department would have a record of the serial number of the bike. We registered the students' bicycle as well as any parents that were participating with them. Any student that did not have a helmet, we supplied a helmet for them. Through the police department, they got some helmets donated, and then wherever, if there was a shortage, the PTO bought some helmets as well. So every student had a helmet for this event, which was the main idea for it. We also were able, with the $500 from CAP, we were able to get T-shirts. So we had all the T-shirts ready for the students. We had a wristband with their name on it just so we could identify anybody in case of any problems. So they picked that up. Next, Officer Freed gave a safety talk to all the students. And after that, there were 3 safety courses set up on the blacktop playground, 2 on one basketball court, 1 on the other basketball court, and the students ran through the course, stop sign, riding through cones, and things like that. That was assisted by other police officers and the police explorers as well. And then the next part of the bike rodeo is probably my favorite part, was they rode from Willow Hill all the way down to St. John of the Cross and back. It was a little bit less than 2 miles, so it was a nice ride. We encouraged the parents to go with them, ride along with them. The parents that were not able to ride for whatever reason, they were encouraged to walk, and many of them did that as well. So it was really great to see the entire group of bikers riding out of the school parking lot and down Coolidge Avenue, being led by a police car. That was really, I think that was really cool to see that. And we had to have a sign up because of getting the shirts and the different supplies. So we had 120 students signed up, which is really good. That was probably over 25% of the students, at least, probably not 50%, but somewhere between 25 and 50%. So I think that was a great turnout. When the riders returned to the school, there were refreshments waiting for them. Pizzas were donated by several local local pizza shops. We also had snack bars, water, and fruit that were also donated. We had these drawstring bags that the PTO purchased, and they're filled with lots of goodies, including a water bottle and pedometer and different papers to tell them about exercising. So, one of my main concerns is, besides the helmet, was also to encourage, because I would always tell my students how important exercise is for them. They need to get 60 minutes a day, so I was trying to incorporate a whole bunch of different things into here. Then after they finished eating, we had a bunch of raffle tickets. Every student got one ticket. They put it in the bag, and we drew the raffles. And so all in all, I think it was a very successful event, and it would not have been possible without the police department and especially Officer Freed. So I wanted to thank Chief Kelly for the assistance from the police department, and Officer Freed. He was the go-to guy. He made up the course. He did lots of stuff to really help us out, and it was greatly appreciated. I know Mary Carminati and Melissa Gargan played a big role with the organization of it and getting helmets for us. Officer Posey and Coughlin and Commissioner Myers were also on hand to help out, as well as the police explorers, and we also used this with many of the high school students came and used that as their community service project. Now, in addition to the students of Willow Hill learning about bicycle safety, exercise, and having a fun time doing this event, there was another reason for me wanting to do this, and a big reason, because police officers are in the family. My husband was a police officer for many years, so I really wanted to promote good relationship between the police department and the community and the school district. So I think that was a really, really important part of this event. And from the interactions with the kids and the police, I really think that was achieved as well. I have I had a couple hundred pictures, but I narrowed it down.
Thank you.
So here they are returning to the school. They're not in chronological order. I don't need to narrate each one. You can see they took up a lot of room in the street, so it was really a great event. We were really happy with how it turned out.
You have a picture of Officer Posey on a bike?
No, I think he was in the car. There I am.
There you go, Ralph.
I don't know if he's singing or
I'm not singing there.
You kind of look like a singer.
leading the orchestra. Here they are going through the little obstacle course that was set up, waiting to go through. That was really fun. I really think the students enjoyed that. There they are listening. Another one of the obstacle courses. As you can see, it's a pretty good turnout.
That's great.
Wow.
That's at the start. I love that picture. That was also on our Abington School District website, and that was also one of the pictures that was in the newspaper as well, the Times Chronicle. There the high school students are handing out the shirts.
Dynamic duo.
And I think that's all. So I just, again, want to thank you for allowing me to come, and thank you for the assistance that the police department gave us with this event.
Thank you, that was a nice presentation. It's a good thing your school did there. Before we move on to the police department report, I also want to mention that today, August 31st, is International Overdose Awareness Day, and invite Rich Garrett from our second alarmers to come up. While you're coming up, just if anybody's interested in the topic, there's a website, www.overdoseday.com, which is about today's actual events.
Commissioner Schreiber, thank you. She come to me before the meeting and mentioned what today is, and I was unaware of it, and asked to share a story. And I said, I have a good story from last Friday, but thinking about it, last Thursday night, we had a heroin overdose in Abington Township. Prior to the arrival of the ambulance crew, the police officer on location found the patient not breathing and administered Narcan, which saved that person's life. That was Thursday night. Friday night, at our 876 Jenkintown Road station in Elkins Park, the ambulance crew was in the station eating dinner when somebody pulled up to the ramp, brought the girlfriend in, put her on the floor of the station. She was not breathing and her heart stopped. She was a heroin overdose. Thank God our crew was in the station. We administered Narcan and saved her life. That was Friday night with the same ambulance crew. Saturday night, the same ambulance crew had an overdose. It was not heroin, it was a different type of drug, but 3 nights in a row, same crew, drug overdoses. So we have to keep in mind that it's just getting worse and worse. And again, thanks to Abington Police carrying Narcan, they saved another life. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. I know we don't have statistics from you this month. We'll be having that in the future. Thank you. And I just want to tell everybody that the day is actually to try to end the stigma and make further awareness of the problems that are occurring from overdoses. So, Chief, with that segue, would you like to begin your report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, members of the committee. We appreciate Rich's comments about our police officers administering Narcan, but I once again want to remind everybody that it was the great work by Second Alarmers that put us in position to be able to do that before almost any other municipality in the area. Is because of their help and assistance and training and getting the Narcan for us that we were able to do that. And it's a great partnership, great teamwork, and we really appreciate all that they've done to help us in this area and so many others to save lives. First thing I wanted to talk about, Madam Chair, was that we received a complaint of telephone solicitations indicating some sort of association or endorsement from the Abington Township Police Department. And I want to start out by saying that there is absolutely no phone solicitations that are in any way associated with or endorsed by the Abington Township Police Department. Now, we're going to be getting that information out in various different forms, including on our website and the township's website, but I just wanted to use this opportunity to first of all indicate that there is no association or endorsement by the township for any phone solicitations that are out there. Secondly, we're receiving complaints about other types of phone solicitations out there, and people are asking about them, and I just wanted to offer this advice and information. While these phone solicitations may be representing legitimate organizations, there is no way that we can ensure who actually receives the contributions or what percentage of the donation is received by the named charity. Therefore, I personally do not recommend sending money to any telephone solicitors, but instead to make any donations to reputable local charities that people know. And so if there's any people that are wondering about that, I certainly want to mention that. And in a related note, I want to talk about some frauds that have been occurring by telephone that have actually bilked some of our citizens out of thousands of dollars. and we've been putting that out. You probably read about it in the reports that have been coming out from the police department, but I want to talk about it specifically here today and highlight it because it's very serious, and that is that citizens are getting telephone calls and people on the other line are either asking or in some cases demanding that the citizens send them money. And they're doing things like saying they're calling from the IRS, believe it or not, the Internal Revenue Service, and that people are owe them money and they must pay up immediately or have all of these dire things happen to them. And you may be surprised to hear this, but there have been a few people that have fallen for that scam and actually sent in money. Another one that is happening is that they're calling and saying that the person's niece or nephew is in trouble and needs money right away, please send money. And again, on a couple of occasions, citizens have sent money. So we just want to use this opportunity to remind citizens that they should be very reluctant to send money to anyone based upon a phone call unless they're certain about who they're talking to. And like always, if they are concerned about possible criminal or fraudulent activity, to please call the Abington Police Department or wherever their local police department is by dialing 911. And you'll be seeing more on this as we try to educate the public about these issues, but we just wanted to use this opportunity tonight to start getting that message out because we know a lot of people watch the meetings, and hopefully that'll help keep someone from getting caught up in one of these scams. The second thing in our report this month is that we've just completed the second year of our red light camera program, and the great work done by Officer Posey and Officer Freed and also Lieutenant Warner. We pulled together some information we want to share with the board now so that you have a little bit of an idea of what's been going on. So let me turn it over to the commander of our Community Policing Division, Lieutenant Kelly Warner.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Commissioners. We really thought this was a good time to remind you about how we're doing with the red light cameras because it is the anniversary of our second year. So here we go with some information. As a reminder, where the cameras are located, they're on Old York Road at Old Welsh Road, Old York Road at Susquehanna, and also at Moreland and Fitzwatertown Roads. When we started the program, the township had 4 goals. And I'm happy to report, and I'll give you the details in just a moment, that we have accomplished those goals. First was to reduce the number of violations, the number of crashes with injuries, and the number of fatalities. During the warning period, where we actually notified and did a lot of press coverage that, hey, we're putting red light cameras in Abington Township, we counted over 6,000 violations on all 3, and combined of all 3 intersections. The first year after, we came up with 4,873, a reduction of 24% violations. After this second year, we had 3,327, a reduction of 32%. Just these are a little below what is average, but I am, from year to year, but I am very proud and happy to say that we have reduced these violations almost 50% since our warning period. And I would suggest to you that this warning period, as we mentioned, the press coverage, we also have the electronic signs warning people saying red light cameras ahead. I would suggest that that number, that top number, is much higher. It would have been much higher if we hadn't had a warning period. So we're psyched about this, the results. Who's committing these violations? 79% are non-residents of Abington Township. The word is out, certainly within our borders, that there are red light cameras in Abington Township. And we're trying to get the word out to others. Unfortunately, 79% of those don't live in Abington. They don't know that. Crashes. That was another goal. We wanted to reduce crashes. Well, pre-camera, we have those stats. They're hard numbers. 44. In the first year, after completion of the first year of the red light cameras, we had 43. This is a little high, And we're going to blame this on PennDOT for the reconstruction or the repaving of Old York Road. We had a lot of minor accidents in that area, if you'll recall that. It was quite a mess for us. After the second year, 31 crashes, with a reduction of 30% overall crashes. Now, the other goal was to reduce crashes with injuries. Well, we did that too. Out of those 44 pre-camera time, there were 7. After the first year, out of those 43 crashes, 11 had injuries. And to note on that, we had one crash that had 4 injuries in one car and 2 in another. After the second year, look at that number. That is definitely reduced. Out of the 31, we had 5 with injuries. So a total change of 29%. Less crashes with injuries since our red light cameras. Fatalities, we had 1 before the cameras were installed. After the first year, we had none. After the second year, none. A 100% change. We're happy to report. Another question that often comes up about these red light cameras that we feel is important to bring to your attention and remind you and the citizens is the cost to Abington Township. We have been reimbursed for every single penny that we have put out. Over $123,000 has been reimbursed. No cost. Absolutely no cost to Abington Township taxpayers. How much income have we earned with these red light cameras? Nothing. Abington Township gets not 1 single cent as a result of red light camera violations. To reiterate the point, $0 income, 0 cost to Abington Township. Violations have been decreased since we started by almost 50%. Our crashes overall are down 30%. Our crashes with injuries are down almost 30% with 29. And fatalities, 100%. Because of the decision that the township made, that you all made, we have made it safer in Abington Township for residents to drive in the streets in the intersections that we identified were the most dangerous. And we are very proud and psyched about that. It's hard to believe that often that you can make a decision in government and not cost taxpayers any money, but I think you did that. So I say thank you on behalf of our red light camera team. We're looking forward to the next year before we come back after that to renew, hopefully, in Abington Township red light cameras. So thanks very much. Chief?
Okay. I just want to reiterate the point that Lieutenant Warner made that at the end there. We know when we came to you about this over 2 years ago, we were asking you to make a very difficult decision. This was something that was not popular. It had opposition and so on. And it's always tough to be the first to try something. And I think that the board deserves a lot of credit for having the courage to try it. And that's all it was a trial basis to see if it was going to work, see if it was going to accomplish the goals that we set out for, and all of those goals were safety goals. And as you can see from the statistics, those goals are becoming achieved. And, you know, as Lieutenant Warner said, it's not often that in government you see government achieving all kinds of positive goals without costing the taxpayers additional money. And that's what's been accomplished so far in the program. So I think it's something that the board should feel proud about, and we certainly commend you for having the courage to give that a trial and give us a chance to show that at least at these difficult intersections. Remember, the reason we chose these intersections was because they were not only the most dangerous ones, but they were the ones that were virtually impossible to do enforcement in a traditional sense. And that's why we wanted to use the technology to do it. That was a very important aspect of it, and as a result, I think we've accomplished together the goals that we all set out to do. And that's all we have for our report tonight, Madam Chair.
I think we have some questions or comments from the commissioners. Commissioner Spiegelman.
Thank you, Director Schreiber. Chief or Lieutenant Warner, I don't know, this might even be a question where our manager or solicitors can pipe in. One of the sort of potential benefits, at least for me, in considering the support for red light cameras, was that a successful rollout and execution of the red light camera program would put the police department in the position to pilot other programs ahead of the rest of the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Things like, of course, local radar enforcement, which, as we know, Pennsylvania is the only, I believe, the only state in the country that doesn't allow local police to enforce speed limits via radar. And who knows, maybe even other programs that are in place in some parts of the country, but not in others. In Washington, D.C. and California, for instance, they have speed cameras, they have stop sign cameras, et cetera. Is there any word on where we might be in some of those other programs coming online for departments like Abington, maybe Abington's the only department, that have proven success with rolling out a red light camera pilot program?
Yes, Commissioner. We actually talked to, as you know, I'm involved at the state level, and we actually talked again about the situation with the radar, and we're told that it's moved further recently than it ever has before. Now, none of us are still holding our breath that we're going to be getting it any time in the immediate future, but they actually said there was some possibility even this year. And I think that this is a constant waiting process that's out of our control. But I think your point's a really good one, Commissioner, in the sense that as we prove that these things can be done without the abuses that are seen in so many other places around the country, that in many cases even had them discontinue the red light camera programs because of the abuses, because of the money incentive that the local municipalities had. That caused them to do things that were inappropriate, that were unfair to their citizens, unfair to the motorists, and that's why there were all the problems and why people hated them so much and why in many cases they were removed. We've proven once again that it doesn't have to be that way, that the plan that the state has put together, making this where there is no revenue coming into the municipality, is a good plan. They have a lot of detail to it that makes sure that the abuses that they've seen in other places are not happening in our state. And then we've proven, by being the ones that had the courage to go out and do it when no other municipality, no other municipality other than Philadelphia and now Pittsburgh is doing it, that it can be done the right way, and it can be done in a way that can be feasible. So I think that this was an important step to move us along and move the state along to the point where they'll start considering more. And candidly, and I admit this freely, that one of the reasons we took this on, obviously we don't have that many accidents. We don't have that dangerous of intersections, and we don't have that many issues. But we knew that it needed to be done right. Otherwise, it was going to eliminate the possibility of these other things done in the future. We knew that. And we were confident that in Abington Township, we would do it right. We'd do it in a way where people would be able to look at it and say, it's a model. And they've proven that it can be done without the abuses. And I think that we're at that point where that's what's happened. And that was part of our motivation, as well as the safety aspects that we thought we would get from having this, but also the idea that by doing it right, we might be able to get that additional help with technology in the future to be able to even do more with it. So, I appreciate your comments, Commissioner Spiegelman, because the point that you're making there is exactly one of the more subtle but important motivations we had to get involved with this. Anyhow, most of you that have seen us do this know this has been an incredible endeavor. With all of the outside opposition that we've gotten and that you've received through all those emails and so on, this has been an incredible endeavor. But it makes it worth it, not only because of the reduction in the accidents and accidents with injuries and fatalities, but also because of this issue that you very articulately spelled out, Commissioner.
Thank you, Chief.
Any other questions or comments?
Just a quick comment. I got to say, great job, Chief and Kelly and all my friends there at the police department. It's so nice to see this program not costing Abington Township a dime. It really is, and I think that's something we need to look at and be proud of. So thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Klein.
Thank you. I have a few questions. Do you have breakdown statistics for the intersections for side impact accidents and rear end accidents? Have you categorized them that way from pre-camera time, first year, second year?
We haven't found any statistics that show that we had any rear-end crashes based on the red light camera. That's based on Officer Freed and Officer Posey, who go through all the reports. No driver has indicated that I stopped suddenly because I thought there was a red light camera and I was going to get a ticket. We have not had that.
Do you have instances of rear-end accidents at those intersections?
I'd have to check on the stats on that, Commissioner. I could get back to you off the top of my head unless I can hit on one of you guys.
That's all right. I mean, I realize you don't have statistics in front of you.
You know what, I
General
think
question.
Officer Posey has those,
This binder.
and so let me give you a chance, if you do, Chris, if you know the answer.
Way to be up on technology there, Officer. Yes. It's a nice binder.
Best technology ever. And, like the PowerPoint showed that before the cameras were installed at the intersections, we had 44 crashes. 26 of those were rear-end crashes. After the first year of the cameras, 43 total crashes, and 24 of those were rear-end crashes. The third year, there was 31 crashes at the intersections, 18 were rear-end crashes. So each year, you went from 26 to 24 to 18. So not only do we not have an increase in rear-end crashes, they actually decreased over the last 3 years.
How about side impact?
Ankle crashes?
Yeah.
The first year, it was, out of the 44, it was 14.
That's the pre-camera period it's on?
I'm sorry.
Is that the pre-camera period?
Pre-camera period, yes.
Okay. How many was it?
14.
Okay.
The first year of the cameras, there were 43 total crashes. 12 of them were angle crashes. And the second year, there was 31 crashes, and there was 13 angle crashes.
Okay. And then, how much has been paid into the Arley pot, the state Arley pot? Have we paid anything? Because we have to, after paying the reimbursements from the township and paying whatever's left over to the camera company, we haven't paid anything out to the Arley pot.
That's correct. Nothing's going back.
And how much have we gotten from the Arley grant program in the 2 years of the implementation? Do we know that? Because we just got a grant program. Just got a grant for
Exactly, in Commissioner Karamowski's ward at North Hills and Mount Carmel. There's a grant, I believe, in the amount of about $90,000.
And have we gotten anything else since that? Or is that the
No,
only
that's
one?
that's this year. That's the first one we received.
And then, and I guess maybe I missed the answer. Commissioner Spiegelman was asking a question. Of the qualified municipalities in the state of Pennsylvania that would have been able to implement the red light cameras, have any of them, since our implementation of the red light cameras, implemented red light cameras or brought them into their municipality?
No, Commissioner, they have not.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
And Chief, your presentation was complete? At the end of the meeting, public comment. Chief, I'm sorry, no other report?
No, we're finished, Madam Chair, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we're going to start our regular agenda. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Officer Freed.
Good evening, Commissioners. As you know, summer is almost officially over, it being the last day of August, which means September, our next traffic blitz is in effect. If anybody needs signs, feel free to contact the Traffic Safety Division, and we'll be able to get those out to you. Not only that, but with it being the end of school, obviously next week, all the kids are happy because school starts on Wednesday. So we ask that everybody out there driving and walking be careful that school is now open and that you be aware of students walking on the sidewalks and in the streets. And also be aware that the school buses are back out there and kids will be loading and offloading at various intersections, so to drive a little safer in those areas. Not only is it the opening of the public and parochial schools, but it's also the opening of the new semester for Penn State. So we're doing a lot of focus on traffic enforcement there. I would like to thank Penn State. They have provided funding for an extra 30 hours of traffic enforcement around the campus area in September. So we're going to have plenty of resources out there during the month, hopefully curbing the speeding and stop sign violations in that area. So that would be the end of my brief report.
Thank you. I just have to add that Penn State actually went back last week. So some of us here who teach and such have been working there for a week and a half.
Oh, I know Penn State is going back there. Al and I both know.
So, thank you for the report. Okay, now off to our regular agenda here. PS1 is a motion to adopt ordinance number 2125, amending Chapter 156 Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2 Traffic Regulations, Section 14 Stop Intersections, and Article 3 Parking Regulations, Section 25 Parking Prohibited at all times, no parking between signs, no parking here to corner, parking prohibited except certain hours, no stopping or standing, and Section 28 special purpose parking zones at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on September 8th, 2016 at 7:30 p.m., and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from commissioners, staff, or audience? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. PS2 is a motion to advertise ordinance number 2126, amending Chapter 156, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 14, Stop Intersections, and Article 3, Parking Regulations, Section 25, Parking Prohibited at all times, no parking between signs, no parking here to corner, parking prohibited except certain hours, no stopping or standing, and Section 28, Special Purpose Parking Zones for adoption at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on October 13th, 2016 at 7:30 p.m., and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the commissioners, staff, audience? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And PS3 is a motion to authorize township officials to accept a grant award from the Bureau of Highway Safety and Traffic Engineering in the amount of $55,000, with the township matching portion approximately $480, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Commissioners, staff, audience? Hearing none. All those in favor?
I had one.
Do we do a sobriety check there?
Yeah, right. I think I need one. I actually just want to say what you've heard me say
Name
before.
and address.
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane, and I just want to say I believe the sobriety checkpoints and all of the checkpoints are an affront to our constitutional rights. And there are people who, in the ordinary course of somebody just asking for a document or asking for something else, and they don't think that they have to give it or don't know they have to give it, they end up in a tussle with the officer. This is somebody who's been obeying the law and didn't have any problem, and they end up with a problem after they're stopped. I believe that our law reads that people are stopped if they have a problem, and we don't set up checkpoints to try and find problems. And I think that we really need to take that seriously. And I am not, I want to say this, I do not believe Abington police officers would do this, but every one of us has seen something on TV, for instance, where a police officer might have planted something. This is wrong to stop ordinary people who are following the law and allow things like that to possibly take place. And so I hope that you will take it very, very seriously and consider abandoning this program. The other thing I want to say is if you're really serious about catching people that are drunk, you would set up outside a bar and just give people a breathalyzer and actually make that a law. And half of the, so certain people are actually becoming wealthy on putting drunk drivers out on the road. And somehow we don't think that we have the right to interrupt their income to get people to have a breathalyzer before they leave that parking lot. That's where the DUI stop should be, right outside the bar. And you might save some lives there of those people that you stop.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody have any? Okay. Then we will vote on this if there's no other comments. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That concludes our formal agenda. Are there any comments from the audience on public safety matters this evening? Would you-
Can I make a comment? Sure. I know she's left the building. I just want to make a quick comment. I've known Cindy Santee for many years, and she was my first, I was her first co-chair at the 24-hour relay. And to see her still doing great things in Abington, I wanted to applaud her. I did meet her out in the audience, and we talked. And it's good to see Cindy still so involved in Abington and such a mentor to children and a teacher. You don't find many of them, or I shouldn't say that, but that great.
So you find a lot of them.
Yeah, hopefully we find more
I think
Cindy
we find
Santees
some.
and Larrys. So Abington's great with Cindy. Thank you.
Can you name and address?
Miriam Einhorn, 1175 Timbergate Drive.
Can I just ask you a question? You had signed up for public affairs. Do you have comments for both?
Just this,
Okay. Thank
sorry,
you.
Public safety.
Okay. That's fine. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
The reason I am here is that I received a telephone call about a month ago, looked at the caller ID, and found that a friend, an old friend, had called me. And I picked it up and said, hi. A gentleman, quite well-spoken, said, hello, my name is, which I didn't catch, and I'm from the Fraternal Order of Police. I said, well, that's funny. The caller ID said you're one of my friends. And he said, well, the reason for my call is that and I said, listen, I just contributed to the police. I sent in a donation to the Abington Police in honor of Allison Delaney, an officer who had helped us when we had a problem. And I don't need to talk to you any further about it because I've already contributed. Thank you very much. Goodbye. And I hung up and gave it no further thought. And I know I have caller ID, so many phone calls, that name was washed forever, and I don't know whose name, but it had been a friend's name that was on the caller ID. Then I got in touch with an old client that I hadn't spoken to in quite a few years. She said to me, you know, your husband called my father a few weeks ago. He was busy and couldn't pick up the phone, but he saw Shell Einhorn's name on the caller ID. And I said, that's strange, because I wouldn't have thought my husband would be calling your dad. She replied, well, 2 weeks later he called again, and my husband and my father did pick up the phone. When he said hello, somebody said, this is the Fraternal Order of Police. What do you have to do with the Fraternal Order of Police? And I said, well, I just got one of those phone calls too. And my husband's name was on both. She said, definitely. I called Laura Lehman and asked her to put out information on the bulletin that she sends through emails to warn people. My chief concern is my name, or my husband's name, came up, and a friend came up. So what's happening? There's something going on with the telephones where the sender puts in a name of somebody that they must know, you know. I just was wondering if it were possible for any investigation to take place. Now, the woman who I called lives in Hatfield. So this is far-reaching, and Laura Lehman said that she got a response to what she wrote in the paper, or the email, and the response was from a Cheltenham resident. So this seems to be far-reaching, and I'm here to appeal.
Thank you. And as the chief was saying earlier tonight, there's certainly, and I've been getting those IRS calls constantly and things like that, too. But, Chief, do you have any comments for this particular?
Yeah, of course. I wish we'd heard about that sooner, but stay around. After the meeting, ma'am, we'll have an officer get together with you, and we'll begin the investigation on that issue.
He did come to my house.
Right.
He was very nice. He took the information, and he assured me not to worry about it because it was just a scam, and the Fraternal Order of Police has never and will never and does never request money. And I reported that to somebody else, one of the commissioners, who said, yes, they do ask for money. So I do.
I think the breakdown in information, ma'am, is there's many different chapters of Fraternal Order of Police, national and state and local and so on and so forth. So it's possible that some don't and others do. But let us research it for you. And I just wanted to get just if you'll stick around just a little bit longer, we're almost done with the meeting. And then I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to try to run that down for you. Okay? Great. Thanks, ma'am.
Commissioner
Chief.
Spiegelman had... sorry.
Ms. Einhorn is the person that I emailed you about earlier today that you responded to. So she's the one that brought it to my attention on Monday, that talking about the FOP, looking for donations.
Great, and I appreciate you passing it along, Commissioner. Thank you.
Commissioner Spiegelman.
If I may, the situation that Ms. Einhorn describes is one actually I've looked into quite a bit because it certainly happened to us. A lot, and I don't specifically know that this is a phone scam. It certainly has the trappings of a phone scam. What phone scammers, both domestic and overseas, will do is it's not terribly hard to do something called spoofing, which is when you basically use sort of computer or phone code to make a false number appear on caller ID. That's why you might get a scam call that's actually coming from Southeast Asia or Eastern Europe, and it'll have a Cheltenham phone number or an Abington phone number on it. And I've read that some of the more sophisticated scammers, when they're calling a certain area, let's say they're calling a certain area code and set of exchanges in that area code. So the 215 area code and the exchanges that we associate with Abington and Rydal and Cheltenham and et cetera, they will keep a bank of fake numbers that they use again and again in that area. Some of them will be known businesses, some of them will just be regular residents, but they're all legitimate numbers that they spoof so that you look at your caller ID and you say, oh, this is coming from Roslyn Pizza. I don't know, I'm just picking that completely out of the blue. But it's coming from something familiar, or it might even be someone you know because that's just coincidentally that can happen. But in fact, it's a total scam.
If I may add, I sent money. I got a form from the Fraternal Order of Police. I did not save it. They asked for personal information, saying it was for my safety. I responded to those questions. And after reviewing the form, somebody else reviewed the form for me who also had gotten that form. It says very clearly in the very fine print, if you read it, it says that this has nothing to do with the Abington Police. So I never know if the money that I sent in honor of this particular policewoman ever got the acknowledgement and if the Abington Police ever got the money.
You sent it in the form of a check, or you gave a credit? I would think if you ask your bank, they might have record of who it was where the check was processed. They might be able to do some forensic work figuring out what happened to your check. When you're presumably, if the check, I'm assuming the check cleared and the money was removed from your account.
Yes.
All right. So that check, even if your bank doesn't send you checks back, they would have a scan of it, or maybe they even keep the hard copy on file. And it would, when it cleared in whatever institution, it would have gotten some sort of barcode on there. Perhaps they can be of assistance in telling you where that check went, where the money went.
When I have this opportunity, I will try to check that so I can share that with the
Ma'am, we'll check on that for you. We'll handle the whole thing. Don't worry about a thing. Be happy to do that. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your comments and for bringing this to light.
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane. So that last one was actually what I was telling you about last time that I think somebody said was absurd. It was that the Abington Police Pension Association looks like it's coming from Abington Police, asks for your personal information that the police will keep on file, but doesn't tell you they're not the police. And I asked you at that last meeting to just require them to put a thing that we are not associated with the Abington Police, and I don't think they should be collecting personal information for the Abington Police. The inference for most people, and I think Mrs. Einhorn here is an example, they think they're sending it to the police, and that's what I was trying to tell you. So I wanted to quickly say that the thing that I mentioned the other day about the pesticide spraying, everybody's noticed the big brown pieces of roadway on the state roads. And I was going to ask if you would please follow up on this for us, because the 3 chemicals that we've been given that they're using are very toxic, and it is illegal to use them contrary to their label, and their label says, keep people off until they're dry. Okay? So if you could please follow up on that. Okay? That is an illegal use of pesticides that is harmful to everybody in our township. The other thing I wanted to ask is, in reference to the Colonnade consent agreement, did you all read that agreement, I trust? I mean, am I understanding correctly that as commissioners who approve these items, it's your job to read them, or am I misunderstanding that? So did everybody read that before they voted? Is that kind of a requirement of your job, or it's not
Do
necessary?
you have any comments about public safety, not about our reading
Actually, I have
abilities?
a question, and the way our rules have been set up is if we have a question that can be answered on the site, you'll answer it, and if you can't answer it then, you'll get the answers as soon as you can afterwards, or have you forgotten that?
Would you like to continue your comments?
Well, no, I'm asking a question, and I would like to know if I can get an answer.
Certainly, and
Do
you know this, you're doing this to be argumentative, but I cannot tell you if every single person here reads something or not. I'm not
that's not
in
what
their
I'm
room
asking.
and ask.
I'm asking
that's
whether
a silly
the-
question.
Okay, I'm asking whether the commissioners, as a part of their job, have an obligation to read the things they vote on, or if you are able to vote,
think you know
kind of
the
skim
answer to
something
that.
or hear something
So
and
do you
and vote
have
that
a
way.
public safety issue you would like to discuss
Well,
this evening?
what was just happened with the consent order is a public safety issue. What you voted on, those people who voted on it, which happen to be all the Democrats, okay, what you voted on, actually, is the majority of the systems that were designed to protect the people that you said could now go live there. Okay, so the Fire Command Center won't be ready for 60 to 90 days. But the consent order says that they're going to get use and occupancies and are able to put people in there before that's finished. 6 weeks for the standpipes. That's the main water source. 6 weeks or more, because that comes after the fire pumps, and the fire pumps can be up to 5 weeks or more before they're ready. The fire pumps are what you need to pump the water up to the highest floors. So that's pretty important. The generator is what they need to keep the lights on so people can find their way down if the elevators don't work, and possibly, I don't know if they make the elevators work too. But the generator, 60 days. The electric load analysis doesn't have to be done until the place is fully loaded, until it's fully occupied. That could be a year or two. And we're not doing an electric. So these are serious safety issues. I'm interested in knowing when you voted, if you read them and you were told that they were contrary to codes that tell you that you cannot start an occupancy until the fire marshal has actually approved that as designed and as the plan was approved, he now approves that it's ready to go.
Thank you for your comments.
So were you told that? I mean, the rule in the township...
This is a past vote, and there's no need to re-debate it. Thank you for your comments.
If you don't learn something from the past to move forward...
That will conclude our agenda this evening.
Am I going to get an answer?
All right, it is my pleasure to call to order the Township of Abington Public Affairs Committee meeting for August 31st, 2016. Can we please start with a roll call?
Commissioner Spiegelman?
Here.
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 Hey, all right, we're all here. Let us start with the minutes. We'll start with a motion to approve the minutes of the July 6, 2016 Public Affairs Committee meeting, and I so move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments, corrections? None. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Director Doug Wendell of our Parks and Recreation Bureau. How are things now that pool season is about to end?
It's not over quite yet, so I won't make a comment on that until Monday, or Tuesday morning.
Best not to jinx it.
Yeah. Well, actually, there is one comment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After the two incidences at both of the pools regarding the closings, the Delaware Valley Insurance Trust has helped us out quite a bit, and we are in the process of getting both pools tested for the cryptosporidium. And we expect, they took the samples sometime mid last week, and we expect them, the results back in a couple of weeks. My personal belief is that when they give us the results, there will be no evidence of cryptosporidium. Of course, that's the shot, a quick shot at just the day and the time that they took the sample, but I believe that it was not there before, but we can't prove that without those tests. So that's hopefully sometime next week. As soon as I do get those results, I'll make sure that the board gets it. I will send it to the manager, and I'm sure he will send it out. Another thing, I guess, too, in talking before the meeting with Commissioner Bowman, I mentioned that we are now getting ready to start our feasibility study. The feasibility study consultant has been approved, and we've been talking with him. We also have the individual from Wake Forest who's going to be doing the survey. The survey person and the consultant and I and my assistant Andrew will be meeting with them we'll be meeting with them on the 30th of September to talk about developing a survey. The survey information, the site where you can go to take this, will be shared with all the commissioners, will be put on our Facebook page as well as our regular web page, and mentioned everywhere, hopefully in the newspaper and that kind of thing, so that any resident who has an interest in responding can go to that site, respond to it, and then hopefully we'll get a lot of information that then Anand Mitra, who is from MLL and doing the survey, will be able to analyze and give us some very good information. We will be meeting with the committee throughout the next number of months, discussing various items that we have to go through with the study. So that's coming up. And the last thing is that Radio City is on Tuesday, December 2nd or December 6th this year, and it does typically fill up. So I believe we're only doing one bus. So if you have any interest in going, or if any of your residents do, they should get in touch with us as soon as possible to send in. There's probably a deposit that's accepted, or you can pay for the whole thing.
I understand Commissioner Rothman's going to be dancing with the Rockettes this year. That's sort of a special treat for township residents.
No, I think he's going to be invited out onto the courts tomorrow to spar with some of the professionals, maybe.
A question for you, Doug. So when the feasibility study, which is a grant-funded feasibility study, when that is complete, we will have something of a ballpark estimate as to what it's going to take to completely refurbish, redo, modernize the pools, both pool facilities.
That certainly is a large part of it, but it's also to look at how we operate, whether our management processes are good and should continue, or if there's any tweaking to that, how, our rates, are they fair across the board, just everything about the operation of the pools. So they're going to be looking at it quite closely, and the scope of work that's put out by DCNR is very thorough. And so it's, we had 5 people show up at the pre-meeting, the pre-proposal meeting, but only 3 of the companies actually bid on it. Okay. So it's a very involved thing, and it's going to be, I'm sure, very helpful.
And the fact that this feasibility study will have been executed, is that something that can help us eventually get, hypothetically anyway, get grants to actually redo the pools and rebuild modernize the pool facilities?
Absolutely. The DCNR requires that you do the feasibility study, which they help fund part of, in order for you to apply for any grants from them. And usually their grant, when you consider there's 2 pools that are very large, Lansdale did their pool 7 or 8 years ago, and it was about like ours, and it was about $2 million. So I'm sure that number is going to go up, and you have 2 pools. So it's going to help a little bit from DCNR, but I'm sure that we can talk to the consultants and find out whether or not there are any other agencies out there, because unlike some of the parks, the pools are open to non-residents. It's just a different fee. So you're not taking a chance of changing the residency rules by taking grants from outside of Abington Township. But yes, it's one of the things you have to do, and it certainly puts you in better stead when you go to a granting agency and say, you know, here's the study we just did, and it says this, this, and this, and we want to do all those things. And it says how to do them, and so, and you want to do them. So you're really in good shape when you go to an agency that might be offering some funding.
Great. Thank you, Doug.
It's always helpful.
Any questions from the committee or board for Director Wendell? All right. We have a special guest and a special presentation tonight. As most folks know, scouting has certainly been an integral part of the culture of our entire country, and in Abington Township that is no exception. So we're very happy tonight to have Ryan Martin, the district executive from our local division of the Boy Scouts of America. Welcome.
Hello. I have a few folks with me tonight that I'll introduce and let them introduce themselves. I'll get into our presentation, but first of all, I want to embarrass a few folks because they have the pleasure of showing up. So some of you may recognize this gentleman right here, smiling and laughing at me. Joe Stuckert has been. Oh yeah, sorry. He's the fire chief at Glenside Fire Company. Also happens to be committee chair at Glenside Troop 48. Kelly Curry, she's former committee chair at Troop 48. Her son's finishing boot camp in the Marines, and no surprise, he's excelling. I can give you a hint why he's excelling. And then the Scoutmaster, Rob Hughes from Troop 48, and I assume this is Rob's son. So I want to welcome them, and I think you guys can give them all the citizenship and community merit badge tonight, right? So a little bit about myself, because scouting is about the people that serve in scouting. So my position within the Boy Scouts of America is district executive. I hope I'm a familiar face to a lot of you. I know I see a lot of friends in the room tonight. I've met with Doug a few times. I know Commissioner Gillespie very well. Obviously, John is a member of Troop 72, which is one of the largest troops in the Cradle Area Council, which encompasses the Philadelphia County, Delaware County, and Montgomery County. So John's part of what really is one of the best programs by far in our council, as well as, I would say, the United States of America. As a professional scouter, it's my role to support and empower local unit leaders. So that's Cub Scout packs for little guys, Boy Scouts for 11 to 18-year-olds, venturing program, which Ed Traufer will explain a little bit more about, and probably our best kept secret, which we don't want to be a secret anymore, the Exploring Post, which I know Abington Township is a long-time supporter of the Exploring Post for the police department. So before my current position, I did serve as an assistant township manager for Middletown Township in Bucks County. So I'm going to say something to you guys that I know you don't hear a lot. Thank you for what you do. It's in our democracy. Obviously, people vote in the elections that really have the least amount to do with them. I am the one of those voters that vote every election, and especially in the local elections. So thank you for what you do and your commitment. I know it's often a thankless job. I don't know if Michael remembers, but we did speak previously in my previous life when I was with Middletown, so I can tell you, you really have one of the best ones, not only in Montgomery County, but in Pennsylvania. So, and obviously, Doug is a fabulous Parks and Rec director. I also know Doug from my involvement with the Abington Community Task Force. Obviously, he was one of the honorees this year. But I am going to stop talking. I'm going to turn it over to Ed Traufer, who is a member of Troop 304 and also involved in the Washington District Boy Scouts.
Thank you very much. It's actually a great honor to be here standing in front of you again. I last stood in front of the commissioners about 6 years ago when Commissioner Peacock presented my son with an award for receiving his rank of Eagle Scout. So it's nice to be here again. I'm actually an Abington resident. I've been a resident for Abington Township for about 30 years. But my relationship with the township goes back before that. I actually did my swimming merit badge and my life-saving merit badge at Abington High School. I also competed in a Boy Scout swimming event. I did a mean dog style with a spoon in my mouth with a ping pong ball in it. All of that in Abington. So I was thrilled when I got involved in Scouts to see that relationship between Abington Township and Scouting still continue. As Ryan said, I'm involved with the committee in the district. I volunteer as a committee member in Troop 304 at St. Luke's in Glenside. I'm former committee chair. I was assistant scoutmaster and also served at Cub Pack 210 in Jenkintown. I'm currently involved in the committee. In the district committee, I'm the chair of the Friends of Scouting fundraiser campaign. I help run our Iditarod, which is our Klondike Derby. I'm also involved in the council. I'm a member of the newly formed Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Committee in council. People say, why do you do all this, Ed? And my answer is because I believe Scouting is the absolute best program for young men and women to help build character, leadership skills, and strong values. And for me, it was great being involved in Scouting with my family. My son, obviously, is an Eagle Scout, as I said. My daughter was involved in the Venture program. As a parent, it was wonderful because I got to spend time with them and participate with them in things that I never would have been able to do before. You know, when kids get into high school, parents start to get pushed off in the distance. I went on camping trips with my kids. I can't think of many other opportunities to do that, and Scouting really gave us that. I helped do service projects at Briarbush and service projects at Alvethorpe, and it was just great being involved in the community and being involved with my kids. As Ryan said, we have a lot of different programs in Scouting. We have Cub Scouts, which I'm sure everyone's aware of, for the young guys, Boy Scouts for the older guys. We also have Venture Crews. Venture Crews are co-ed. They're for boys and girls between the age of 14 and 20. They're generally based on high adventure. My daughter was involved in one in Crew 304 at St. Luke's. They went caving, they went climbing, they did camping trips, they did a one-week hiking trip down to Delaware. We also have, as Ryan said, Explorer Posts. Explorer Posts generally tend to be more education-oriented. We have one with the police. There's an Explorer Post with Second Alarmers, so trying to get an educational component in. One of the things that we're working with in council is working to start a STEM, science, technology, and engineering scouting program. It's in the infant stages. A few councils around the country have tried that already to a certain degree of success. So we're trying to build a separate entity within Scouting in our area focused on STEM. Really looking for opportunities to get kids more involved with STEM, get them more involved in the community, and really reach out and work with the schools to help promote the STEM program. As you know, I'm sure you see a lot of kids in here working on their citizenship in the community merit badge. It's a requirement for the Boy Scouts in order to become an Eagle Scout because we're building those characteristics. You guys that were Boy Scouts don't have to follow along with me, but every time we have a meeting, we talk about the Scout law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And the Scouts really live by that. There was a recent study by Tufts University that was published about a year or so ago. Ryan has a handout on that.
Take one and pass it around.
It was done on youth in the Cub Scout age. It was a 3-year study where they interviewed youth at the beginning of the study. Part of this youth were involved in Scouts. The other part of the youth was not involved in Scouts. At the end of the study, they discovered that there was a statistically significant increase in kindness, in community orientation, in happiness, and for good looks to the future from the kids who were involved in Scouting. So Scouting really does have a positive impact on the youth and on the community in general. And I personally, as Ryan before, want to say thank you. As a long-term resident of Abington Township, I appreciate everything that Abington Township has done and continues to do for Boy Scouts. I think, Ryan, you wanted to mention a few things?
Yeah, so I wanted Ed to speak tonight because obviously I am a professional scouter, but it's really the volunteers that make the organization go. There are approximately 5,000 people like myself that actually work within the national scope of the National Boy Scouts of America. All the rest of the people that actually do all the work are volunteers like Ed. So if you're looking for what makes Abington great, it's residents like Ed and these gentlemen and ladies over here. If you want a really quick look in your booklet here, as you can see, the first page is the Tufts University study that Ed referenced. That was done for the Cradle Liberty Council, which is the council I represent. It was there was a control group which we purposely chose a control group from private and higher achieving schools to debunk the myth that only good boys join Scouting. So we all knew it was always true. Now we have the hardened proof. And if you really want to read a thick research study, I can send you the full study if you would like. This next document here, you'll see a lot of zip codes. So these are all the mailing zip codes for the district in which I represent. As you can see, you know the zip codes that represent Abington. The majority of the potential youth that could join Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts are within Abington Township. Just in the Abington zip code alone, there's a total available youth. So that's a total available youth that are Scout age that could potentially join Scouting. So if you go to the next document, if you flip all the way to the last page, you will see a summary. So this is all the zip codes. Obviously, you know Glenside represents parts of Cheltenham Township, and Jenkintown, so on and so forth. I know you have a Jenkintown mailing address, even though you're a township resident. What you can see is there is the number of Scouts is the leftmost column that are currently in the program. The next column represents the total available youth in each of those zip codes that could be in Scouting. And next to it, you see the percentage. That percentage next to Abington represents, that means almost 1 in 10 available youth that could join Scouts in Abington are in Scouts. The gold standard in National BSA, the best we can hope for, is 1 in 10 Scouts are, 1 in 10 possible Scouts are in fact registered in Scouts. So it's not a surprise that you guys are highly rated. Police Department, Parks and Rec Department, Money Magazine obviously thinks highly of you. It's no accident that Scouting is also strongest in the communities that I serve, and also the council overall. So a little bit of data to kind of back up what we all know about the strong program that is in Abington. And then I'm going to turn it over to Ed. He has some recommendations for how we can all work better together to really grow the Scouting program. So, Ed?
Thank you. I would say the biggest thing I have to say is thank you, and please do more of the same. The township has really been a wonderful supporter of Scoutings, and I think we've had a wonderful relationship, and I'm thrilled to see and hope to see that it will continue. I think there are a lot of things that we can still do more. We have a tremendous group of volunteers available in Scouting. Please look to us if you need anything. Beyond youth doing Eagle Scout projects, we always have units interested in doing volunteer work. We're trying to get the Scouts in the general area all to do more volunteer work together, not as individual troops, but as groups of troops. So any opportunity that you see where you think the Scouts can come in and help out, whether it's cleaning up parks and recreation, whether it's helping out in different affairs, different community events, please let us know. We'd be thrilled to help out. With the STEM program, which I'm personally invested in, we'd love to start working with the schools and build up a closer relationship to enable us to bring STEM to the school and help bring STEM to the school. Being in this area, I'm sure you know we're lucky to have a lot of scientists in Scouting because we have a lot of scientists in the Abington Township area. We're working to leverage the scientists we have to really build STEM programs. I can't talk about everything that we have planned because we're still in the planning stages, but hopefully we'll be able to bring a lot of powerful assets to help at the schools and build that relationship even tighter. And again, if there's anything that we can do to help, it's to help the community and also in the form of thanks, please let us know. Thank you.
Ed, Ryan, thank you both so much. Is there anyone from either the committee or Commissioner Gillespie?
Of course.
Of course.
Of course I have a comment.
I looked at you.
We have 304 and we have 48. How about that? Ward 13, the end of my street. Both.
Glenside is represented tonight.
I'm sitting here looking at these people and thinking, Ward 13, there they are. And we've certainly given out many Eagle awards just in my 6 years that I've been on the board. So I'm always proud of the Scouts, and you guys all know that. Thank you. And thank you for your fortitude for hanging out, listening to everything else.
It was a rude awakening for what I've been missing for the last 2 years, so God bless you.
The flashbacks will be with you all night, no doubt.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Many-
So I
many
want to thank
thanks.
you again, and just to let you know, fall is when we do our most heavy recruitment. So if you want to post anything on your individual websites, on the township website, or if you want road signs to put out in your areas of serve, just let me know. My business card was in each of those packets, so happy to help. And like Ed said, we want to do what we can to help the community because that's really what the Scouts about. So I want to thank you for your time and appreciate your inviting us.
Thank you so much, and I just want you to know I'm already signed up to speak to the Abington Presbyterian Church Cub Scout group on an upcoming Thursdays. We get down the fall and towards the winter, so
Excellent, thank you.
We'll learn them about municipal life.
Yep.
Well, the committee has no actual formal agenda, and at risk of just cutting it off there, if there's anyone who has any questions or comments regarding general matters of the public affairs auspices, please approach. Thank you. Word of the day calendar.
Should have cut it off.
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane, proud mother of an Eagle Scout. And by the way, Abington has gone from STEM to STEAM, adding art in there, and my Eagle Scout is an artist. So yeah. So he has actually a great circle of friends from both years of scouting and from the art culture, too. I wanted to speak about, in particular, what just happened a few minutes ago. That has been a regular thing in this township, that the commissioners think that they can violate the speaking rules whenever they want and hold other people to them when they feel like it. That's not acceptable. It's not an acceptable way to be. This particular forum these are life safety issues. I hope all of you understand I think our township has been put at incredible risk, putting people in a building that if it catches fire, there's no pump. Okay? The kind of risk that we are exposed to, the financial risk, and we have already experienced a financial risk from that particular endeavor that is beyond what our tolerance level should be. And so we need to have, in this township, more people overseeing. And when you're allowed to be rude to people, to cut them off, to not follow your own speaking rules, which you set by yourselves, and let me tell you, with some input from us, but your speaking rules say that when we ask a question, if the question can be answered, it will be answered. But whenever it's uncomfortable for you, as it was recently in another issue, you decide not to answer it. That's not okay. And the other rule is that if you can't answer it right away, you'll get the answer. That's reasonable communication from citizens to their government and back again. Okay? This is not like a party of 15 and whatever you want to have from our pockets. This is our life issues. These are our streams that are being poisoned needlessly. And you are the people who can change that. These are our neighbors who are being put in a building that I don't think they're even going to know what the status of the fire equipment is, because for 20 years they didn't. And the record shows that it was horrible, and their lives were in danger. And where it starts is right here with communication. The other thing I wanted to
just you're at 3 minutes. If you could, I'll give you a very little bit to just wrap up, please.
I'll just very quickly say the other thing that I wanted to mention is some of you put out wonderful newsletters. Commissioner Spiegelman, of course. Okay, some of you put out almost nothing. Trash day and the occasional picnic. And so I have for 10 years, this is my 10th year at this podium, asking you please to put all the news, when we get a new business, when there is a township spraying, when there's a picnic, whatever it is, to put it on the township website. And the only reason it's not done there is so that commissioners can have control. I promise you, you'll have more control if you start sharing the news that way, so that all of your, because those of you who don't put out newsletters, your residents are going to read that stuff, and they're going to call you. And you're going to get to know more residents than you knew the other way. So please, one from the township that actually all the commissioners can mail out from.
Thank you for your comments. And with that...
Podium, you got to come to the podium, Mr.
Oh,
Bell.
Mr. Bell?
The last chairperson slammed the gavel on me, and I didn't get a chance. I just wanted to say...
Have I ever slammed it?
2076 Parkview Avenue, thank you. I just wanted to follow up with the lady that talked about the phone scamming. Obviously, there's sophistication of thieves in and out of the United States. And also, consumers are subject to database breaches, whether it's the hospital, the school, or what have you. So if your constituents are not on the federal do not call list, the Pennsylvania State Attorney General, I would encourage you to recommend that. And also your phone carrier when you're having these kind of problems, whether it's Verizon or someone else. The problem is when you answer the phone. You go into now, you're going to get a repeat call, keep coming. So what I would advise you to do is to advise the caller that the message is being recorded, even though you're not allowed to record in the state of Pennsylvania, but it kind of works when we get the calls. If personal information is given, notify your financial institution information has been compromised, and pay attention to your bills. And it happened to me. And also obtain credit reports, which are free once a year, and pay attention to invoices and bills. That's something that your constituents should know. And last but not least, the last one I gave them, my name is Regal Lion, and the address to the Philadelphia Zoo and phone number. Thank you.
May I start referring to you as Regal Lion? Thank you very much, Mr. Bell. And I believe you're referring to donotcall.gov is the federal do not call list. And with that, public affairs adjourned.